Hi, Ashutosh.
Hi Ashutosh.
Hello, Sagar. Hi, Vida. Hi,
Hi.
Anuj. Good to see you guys. And for our live audience as well, I hope you are able to see us and hear us clearly. If there are any issues, please do let us know via chat, and we'll try to uh, resolve if there are any issues. But it is a great, you know, forum we have today. It's a great opportunity to interact and chat with some great minds. I think we can probably go around the table with start with a round of introductions. I can go first. My name is Ashutosh, and more than anything else, I am a gamer. I would like to call myself a gamer. I've been playing since my childhood, and while everyone plays the Mario's and the Contras, but I got fascinated into uh, handheld gaming when my dad got me a portable Nintendo from Dubai back in the 80s, and yeah, that's the grays in my beard, the 80s. But been gaming ever since. I still play e-football every day online. In terms of my professional journey, I've been working for almost 2 decades now. The last decade or so has been especially around gaming, where I've worked with multiple brands, including Gameloft, Nokia, Samsung, Apple, and most recently Google. And I am going to start something new very soon. So currently in the middle of things, but that is just me, and we can go down now.
Cool. So I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Anuj Sahani. I'm currently heading Crafton India Gaming Incubation Program here at Crafton. And along with that, I'm also responsible for launching new games here in India, specifically for Indian market. That's what I'm doing currently. I've been in gaming industry for roughly around 17 plus years now, and mainly on the game development side. So yeah, that's pretty much for me. Thanks for having me here. I'm pretty looking forward to the discussion today.
Thank you. Thanks. So hi guys, my name is Sagar Sachdeva. I've been into this gaming industry for more than 15 years now. And the last decade, if I talk about, like, I also used to work with Gameloft, Disney, and the last organization that I used to work with is the organization in India, Geo, where I work with other colleagues of mainly set up gaming ecosystem under the Geo.
I don't know if it's just me, but guys, is there some microphone issues on Sagar's end?
I think yes, probably you can come closer to the mic or something.
Yeah, Sagar,
Oh, okay. Is it audible now? Better?
Yeah,
much better. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So recently been shifted to Bangalore and part of a gaming division. It's a like 2 decade old organization, Indian, but they have a gaming arm called ICSI, and they are into gaming for more than 15 years now. Completely into service industry, catering different clientele from US, UK, Europe for all their external needs, and that's what exactly I'm doing and I'm managing here. And my role is moreover to actually uh, to run the complete business and get new business as well for the company. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So my name is Ville Rauma, and I'm from Fingersoft. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and I've been in games also for professionally for over 15 years. But my background is as well as is a gamer. So I started on Commodore 64 a long time ago, and fell in love with games, and have been making games as like a hobby first, and then ended up in the industry. And I was originally technical guy, so I came to work in Fingersoft as a backend developer in 2014, and then the company started doing really well. So kind of like ended up in this kind of C-level role, and ever since then we've been kind of trying to make awesome games, and our main titles are racing games. So and those I believe are very very popular around the world with over a billion downloads. So yeah, I think
Awesome,
that's
awesome.
the gist
So
of it.
thank you, everyone. I think great to have all of you, and I think we can definitely. I think the idea should definitely be to get more involvement. So people who are watching us, please feel free to post in your thoughts, questions, comments, anything that you want us to go deeper into, or even start thinking about as we progress through the conversation. But just to get the ball rolling, gentlemen, what do you think is the next big thing uh, in terms of mobile gaming? Do you think it's going to be another mind-bending genre like battle royale has taken up globally? Would it be uh, hyper casual 2.0? What do you guys think could be the next big thing? Who wants to take a stab at it?
So I can probably start with this first. So not specific to any genre, but I feel that like social games are being a big contributor to the current ecosystem, and they are growing massively a lot. And by social game, I mean like the games which support multiple social features in the game, which is like cooperative missions, having in-game chat, events, community built up. So there are a number of things which comes as a social factor. That's I feel it will be a good addition to the sector, and it's growing also. Other than that, what I personally see is that the cross-platform gameplay it's also evolving. A lot of studios are not now moving towards cross-platform gameplay games basically, and which technically support all the devices like from console to PC to mobile. So that's also which is growing. And then I also see that hybrid games are also growing, which support multiple mechanics. The core is still one mechanics, but with the meta layer you come up with multiple mechanics, so that's also growing. And just a side note, which I feel like a lot of startups or mid-level studios should look at games or developing games which has wider target audience thing, which they can target wider market audience, because the CPI cost across the globe are going very high. And if you have a game, if you pick a game as a small studio which is very niche audience, you will fall in a trap where you won't be able to market your game well. So you probably look at game options which you can target wider market audience, and then you can optimize your marketing cost over there. So this is my take on it. Probably like to share flow with others also.
Awesome. Sagar, Villa, any thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Well, of course, I have a short answer, and that's Hill Climb Racing 3. No, but to be serious, how we kind of think about it is that like I agree on all points there, but it's kind of like we're trying to build, for example, that game from the ground up to be very supportive of these kind of very varied live service kind of um, like let's say tooling, or how would I describe it? But basically thinking about of course, the social aspects and everything like that. But how can we make this game very, let's say, streamable, shareable, and how can we make it so that we can relatively quickly integrate interesting new things into the kind of pipeline, into the game, and trying to kind of build the technology and the whole setup in a way where we can kind of utilize like different opportunities faster, because it's been our experience that for example with Hill Climb Racing 2, it's the game wasn't like we expected that okay it might do well, but it became like very big game, and it's the kind of difficulty in changing it, developing it gets more and more so over time when you haven't really built the basis to be very flexible. So I think this kind of flexibility built into the whole game is for us very important. But that's at least one point of view.
Yeah, great. And I think I'm also aligned here. Like, honestly, like I'll speak about like that battle royale is one of the popular genre across, and in India, everybody is actually and having the maximum number of audience who are actually spending good amount of time while playing that kind of a game. But honestly, on a different side, you can't actually leave casual and hyper casual games, because that is somewhere where the other audience who are not actually a gamer, they are spending a good amount of time while commuting from one place to another. And even though people who wanted to actually interact with their family and friends just to compete on a friendly way, so that's how these casual and hyper casual games are actually going in that way. And the other genre which I feel that is coming up, which is social and party based games, where people are actually having a feel of multiplayer games, experience the competitiveness with their family, with their friends, and also experience, I would say, that the different kind of gameplay and moreover onto the site, like somewhere around the trivia and also the word games or the board games nominations. So these are the different genre which actually works pretty well, where people can actually have a better time pass, I would say, from the gaming perspective.
Yeah, I think and great insights there. Just going a little deeper, I think uh, what I get is that yeah, there'll be a variety of genres, not just one, which will continue to grow and evolve. But when we think about social, guys, leaderboards have been around for a while. Social sharing has been for a while. PvP has been around for a while. What added complexity do you think these new age Gen Z platforms, the snaps of this world, are going to add to A, acquire more users, and B, also add a level of engagement which has not been tried before? Is game streaming, for example, Twitching going to go mainstream? Or is shared objectives in a way that we've not thought about from a game mechanics point of view, do you think? Just some thoughts if anybody wants to share any or shed any light on this.
So Ashutosh, to your point, basically, I agree that some of these features have been there in the system for a very long time, but now you see that a lot of like gamers or new gamers are actually watching streams and then they're coming to download the game. And why were they are watching these streams? Because these games have these social features to support. So that
Correct.
was my objective, was in terms of saying social, was that you should have these features so that you can at least play with your friends, with family, and then and then stream the specific game, so that you can engage the audience.
Got it.
Because a lot of
Yeah,
new gamers, a lot of players, Gen Zs are actually watching these streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a huge content there out, but also the consumption is there, and through which they come to know about the new game. They start playing, enjoying, and have a competitive environment among these games, basically.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a difference between okay, sharing and kind of commenting and things like that, but then participating in more kind of like easy, natural ways in the different kind of cross media environments, like TikToks and all kinds of Twitches and things. But I think the main point is that there's kind of this like from the design perspective, from the ground up, this idea that how can we let players interact more with the content on wherever they are, and this kind of cross platform is been around, but I think cross media, cross brand, like all of these things together, like can form like really unique new kind of ways to play and engage with the content. So yeah.
That's the same thing, like because people are actually consuming more and more content, and they are actually whoever are the streamers, people wanted to become a streamer. They wanted to actually increase the followers, and that's how that followers are actually getting the flavor of from the gamer itself, like what sort of fun activities that these people are doing, and that's how this is actually helping to increase the I would say increase the penetration as well in consuming the content, and also helping them to download more and more games. So if somebody is following those kind of a gamers or enthusiasts about those gamers.
Got it. So the takeaway that I understand is, do not ignore the importance of parallel streams coming from social. And it could be multi-dimensional. It could be content creation, content consumption, user acquisition, engagement, competitions, shared objectives, you name it. But social is the word. And
Yes.
you talked about, Anuj, you brought about a very interesting point there, which is cross-platform. Now, cross-platform can be interpreted in more than one ways. One way of looking at cross-platform is a game which has a title which has presence, like FC, on mobile and on PC and on console. The other way to think about is more from an entertainment or OTT kind of an experience where you can jump off from platform to platform and continue what you were doing. Because uh, my intent of asking this question is, as a game developer, should I focus or think about creating a mechanic which is a singular gameplay across platforms, or is it different ideologies, different strategies and mechanics depending on the device and platform capabilities, but still allowing people, like two different users on two different platforms, the same title, or the same user on two different platforms with the same title? What do you guys think?
So I feel that it's the cross-platform means basically like where I'm stopped, like where I'm playing on one platform, then I can continue progression from the other platform. That's one thing. Only constraint to this is the budgets, because this kind of development will require huge budgets. So yeah, if you're able to secure that much of budgets and you have a game which can contribute to this part, then definitely yes, we should look at this option.
Got it. No, absolutely. And I think it's much simpler to state this than actually address, because it also will depend a lot on the platform capabilities, because mobiles in themselves, I think, have different APIs, different DPIs, different resolutions, different GPUs. So getting a consistent performance will be a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think right now, at least basis of my limited understanding, I don't think we are at an ideal state where we can create that homogeneous carry through. But I think I agree with you. That's the ideal state, and I think eventually we will get there.
Yeah, definitely. And like I can say that since I was part of Gameloft before, so Gameloft is moving into this specific direction where all the future games will support all the platforms. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of completely agree that we kind of have started a while back now thinking more about not like devices as devices, but more just as screens, as like wherever there is a screen that people can interact with, then they're like, and they do, and they you should have the game in some form if possible. Of course, that's like a huge huge challenge, but like I think strategically, like depending on how much you can invest in development, you can do. Like I would say that it's better to do a few things well than try to have some presence everywhere. At least in my experience, it tends to be that you really get what you invest in. So it's
Now, we have a related question, but before we get there, just to complete this thought, I think at least my personal take, and please take this as my personal take, is that one platform which I think is highly underutilized as of now is smart TVs, be it Android or Apple TV. And I think before, as a game developer, if I want to think about extending gameplay from mobile, to me, the first natural continuation should be on TV, and then maybe moving to more capable platforms, because it'll bring in a lot more diversity. And the question that we have live is from Ahmad, and he's asking, how do you think cloud gaming will shape the future of mobile gaming? It's related to cross-platform as we were talking, but Anuj, Villa, Sagar, guys, please feel free to uh, take this. How do you think cloud gaming will shape the future of mobile gaming?
yeah, it's a good question. It's kind of like a difficult topic because we've seen some like attempts there, like even from the biggest companies, Meta. Everybody has been like trying something Google has, and there hasn't been any kind of breakthrough that I could determine. So I've been kind of feeling more like it seems to me that there's um, it's more about like you have different kinds of things, like you have HTML5 games seem to be on the rise, for example, because they're so low barrier to entry, and they and so. But I'm not sure. Like we have tried some things with cloud gaming ourselves as well, but we haven't really seen any big success there. So it seems to me to be a difficult area.
So my key, my takeaway from here, from the cloud gaming side, like since we know that there are nowadays there are a lot of gaming cloud gaming platforms are available, and they are trying to actually get into the telecom space with the handset manufacturers. But the biggest challenge is the infrastructure, like how you're going to actually core or cover the infrastructure cost, because since if you are going and providing the AAA gaming experience to the users who have wanted to actually have a, I would say, have a taste or have a flavor of AA and AAA games with a minimal infrastructure in that tier 2 and tier 3 and so on cities, they would be able to get the seamless experience of what exactly you're gonna get it, having a good bandwidth experience. So that's how I would say that cloud gaming is still at a quite niche stage, and we're gonna take around another 4 5 more years till the time we have a better infrastructure.
Got it. No, I think My take would on this would be that we are moving in the right direction. We are not there yet, but even if we look about, we look at console gaming. 2 years until 2 years ago, if I play soccer every year, I would need to buy the physical disc. But now with the internet penetration increasing day by day, more and more, and even PlayStation, for example, now has digital only editions. Now, these are definite indicators of things moving towards the cloud. Nobody wants to rely on physical processing and physical media as much as we did maybe 5 years ago. And like Saga said, I think the next 3 to 5 years are going to determine how quickly do we advent towards completely cloud-based processing and gaming. And I think that would also fill in the gaps that Anuj we talked about cross-platform continuation. Because once everything is cloud-based, then your screen size and your processings don't come so
Really
much
matter.
into effect.
Yeah,
So,
the development is much more simple. You
and
only need to do once.
yeah, I am as excited and waiting for that day to come sooner than later. But thanks for the question. The next, there's one more question from Madiha. And the question is, how can smaller developers differentiate themselves in saturated markets? So, very tricky question because if we talk about gaming and making your presence felt, you have to be very localized, and we can't. There's no generic answer that fits all geographies. But maybe one of you guys, if you want to talk about it from whatever you think is the biggest addressable market globally, and what are some of the hygiene things that you recommend for a small developer to think about?
So I'll just say that, as I've mentioned earlier, it's basically when you're picking a like game or a product or a genre you want to make, you should probably look at audience, or probably should look at game which has wider acceptance in the market, basically. And then on top of it, so a lot of like young developers are, what they're doing right now is they're mixing matching the mechanics with hybrid model. So, and then through that you can optimize your UA cost also, because you can show a particular ad which can lower your CPIs, but that mechanics needs to be in your game. Either it's a mini game or a core game, whatever it is, but it needs to be in a combination of that manner. So that's how you can optimize your cost in terms of marketing and getting acquiring users. And so yeah, that's what I feel it will be a good beneficial for young developers to do.
One one kind of thing I've seen, like in terms of success stories, like smaller ones for really small studios, at least in Finland, is that they kind of cultivating the community. Like if you have a, like for example on Steam, if you're working on some early access game, and of course there's also a barrier for entry because the expectation of players even for early access games is quite high these days. But still, like you can pick a niche. There's an example. There was this it's a game where you drive snowcats in the forest, like I don't know if you know, like motorcycle to drive on snow, basically. You know what I'm talking about. But basically, snowcats, and they actually, what happened was that there was a lot of player interest from the early access community, and that got them to a level where they didn't actually have any budget for marketing originally, and they've done quite well. So it's still an early access. I think it's called Sleders, if I remember correctly. But basically, this kind of community based approach, and I think that requires that the game what the game is about is such a thing where it's likely to gather an audience. So if there isn't a lot of competition, like there wasn't basically any games in that genre where you would be freely able to drive in the forest and the snow works really nicely, that the physics and everything. So it's a unique approach, and then at the community side.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. So from my side, it's like moreover on the niche, the demographic whom you wanted to cater. That should be message should be clear enough, and the target should be clear enough, and simultaneously, it's a community engagement should nowadays community engagement should be there. So that's how you could actually engage more and more. You can engage with the community, and simultaneously, once you engage with the community, you can build and have more and more users on there.
Yeah, and
Simple.
to add that there's several ways to, like, for example, I know seen a lot of developers who are like even single developers. It's just one or two guys, and they have a YouTube channel. So basically, they tell about how they make the game, and then they find the audience that way, and they're being able to make things successful. So there's many ways to go about like finding the audience.
Got it. Great, great insight. So I'm going to club two questions together here. The first one is about balancing or prioritizing between iOS and Android. And the second question that I think is probably related, if not directly, then indirectly, is that are we utilizing the full stack of hardware capabilities across modern smartphones, or is innovation lagging behind? So in terms of ecosystems and device capabilities, are we there yet, or are we lagging behind? And how do we balance?
Yeah, it's well, I'll answer the second one first because it's very relevant to us. We have a huge audience. So I think that device capabilities, it's an issue because we need to target the lowest device that we are supporting. So basically, we can't really ever, at least with this kind of target audience that we have, which is basically everybody. so then it's not possible. But of course, depending on what you're targeting, that it might be a different story. But yeah, that's so no, we're not utilizing all of the capabilities of the devices.
Yeah, I think it's more about fragmentation, at least on the Android side of things, more so
Yeah,
compared to
yeah,
iOS.
Android especially.
It's
Yeah.
because we, as a game developer, you'd always want to have the lowest denominator covered so that you're safe from an investment point of view in terms of covering a critical mass. And while I feel that there may be more opportunities available at innovating when we look at the top stack of devices, but we have to understand that the world is a very, very fragmented place, even from a, a, a targeting or a user audience targeting capabilities point of view. So I think I wouldn't say that we're lagging behind. It is just that by design and by economies, it makes more sense to be a little more conservative. And in terms of iOS and Android, guys, any thoughts anyone wants to share in terms of whether you, I mean, how disjoint would it be to prioritize one over the other?
Well, at least in our case, we tend to pick either one for depending on what we're making to be the kind of, let's say, main um, um, like ecosystem, just because it's easier to go one first and then bring the other one kind of along to the same level. We tend to use Android first just because the developer tools and like how Apple handles like test devices, everything like that. It's just easier to work on Android. So that's what we do usually. But yeah.
Yeah, it also depends on kind of market you are targeting for the product. Basically, if you are looking at India, then obviously you need to consider Android first, and if you're looking Western world, then you need to consider iOS first. So it's basically on the kind of market you are considering. But I feel that both have its own importance. So either you go with iOS or go with Android. They both have their own and priorities, and both go hand in hand. So it mainly depends on kind of market you are looking at. And yeah, Android optimization is a bigger challenge where we want to support multiple devices, but that is also manageable. So it all comes down to what you are trying to do and what kind of game you're trying to make. So you'll have to make your bet accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll back Anuj here. Yeah, I'll back Anuj here because since if we are targeting India as a territory, then definitely we know that every single year we have more than 140 million devices shipped to India. Out of that, more than 90% are actually Android. So that's how you can't actually avoid that, and you have to be focused more on the Android front. But yes, even though iOS is pretty niche, but there are the best ways to monetize the iOS content in a very manipulation.
Yeah, so I think probably I am one of the few people who has had the privilege of working with both Apple and Google firsthand. uh, just
Yeah.
shed
Oh,
some
we do that also. We work with both. Well, not first hand, but second hand.
joy with both Apple and Google, so that's what I meant. But
Yeah.
uh, I think both have their own distinct USPs. Apple is a very, very design-centric approach where you learn a lot in terms of optimizing and creating a very polished product. Android goes more broad, and I think I have to agree with Anuj and Sagar that if you want to uh, go broader, then you have to start with Android. But if you have to go deeper and you're very certain you are making the third, fourth, fifth edition of your title, and you know a very specific audience, and this is a high production IP where you are certain about making sure that your return on investment can come from a fewer heavy value users, then maybe iOS. But no partner, no developer in my experience has been successful prioritizing just one of the two platforms or ecosystems. I think the best is to look at both hand in hand and take the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and also to build a community for the game, if the game falls into that genre, you need to support both the platforms so that you have a
Yeah,
wider audience coverage, and then it can also have a virality factor come to it. Without
Absolutely.
supporting both the platform, you won't be able to support the virality factor of the game. Yeah.
yeah. The players demand it. It's if you have a popular game and it's not on one of the platforms, you're gonna hear about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Foldables are a prime example of how Android is probably a little faster in terms of embracing newer changes. And I tried the Motorola 40 Ultra foldable for 2 weeks. Pretty interesting use cases, even for the smaller cover screen where with the placement of the two cameras, they've created game experiences where the ball drops into the camera and looks like a hole. So there is definitely scope for innovation. It is also about challenging yourself and finding use cases from hardware availability across different form factors. So, but yeah, to sum it, I think both go hand in hand. Can't do one without the other, and it wouldn't be beneficial if you did that. Uh, the next question is very interesting. It's from Buford Frederick. What do you think is the role of generative AI in the future of mobile game development? Now, this is specifically about development. Uh, what do you guys think? How do you think generative AI is going to come in?
So I'll like to go first with this. Basically, is that what I feel is in terms of generative AI is that it can help developers in speeding up the development process. So there are two things to it. Firstly, is the validation of the game, then actually expanding the game. So validation of the game can be done faster with generative AI, and you can see whether you have a market for the concept or vision you have or not. You can validate the basic KPIs, basic metrics, and make sure, okay, if it is working fine or not for you. That step can be achieved faster with generative AI, and that can be like, yeah, that's one thing which comes hand in hand with this. But yeah, for once you have done the validation, then the road is a little more straightforward and difficult to achieve. But yeah, validation can be done quickly with generative AI, faster, and you can validate the concepts faster with generative AI. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree that the tooling side is gonna be huge. It's already is changing. Like from talking to developers all around, like these tools are being taken into use as we speak and being used. So it's already happening very quickly. And but like was said, it enhances the abilities of the developer. I think that's the key thing here. And there's an important distinction to be had. Like we've had a lot of our, for example, artists being concerned, uh, like about the generation of art. But I think the key thing to remember is that your kind of core assets should be human, originated, so that you can have copyright and you can actually own your work. So I think it's kind of it's not going to work if you're just doing everything with AI. I think you need to have the human element there to be able to make a creative thing which people enjoy. I think the human element is important.
Interesting. No,
Yeah.
I think Sagar, you want to?
No. Go ahead, Ashutosh. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that no matter what way we look at it, AI is going to be at the forefront of all things technology in the very immediate future. And I think even when we think about gaming, I feel that there is definitely a ton of opportunity. Even if I look at the simplest of examples, when I look at sports titles, I play soccer, like I said in the beginning. So crowd reactions in real time basis of whatever is happening in the real world in a stadium during a soccer match is probably something which can be accomplished through Gen AI in a much more efficient way as compared to traditional methods. So more and more, I think, as Anuj mentioned, validation cycles will become shorter. Production costs, I don't want to comment on. I don't think I have the expertise to uh, to comment about costs. But I think for sure it will allow a lot more flexibility in terms of trying out things and creating experiences, which probably would have been much harder to crack in the past. So improving efficiencies and shortening validation cycles, that's our take.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, I just had like an additional point that they about the costs and everything. I see it in a way where in the short term, sure, you can potentially be more productive than companies who are not up to speed on those tools, but over time you will always lose on that. So I think it's more about the quality and the end result that like what can you do with the amount of people you have and amount of resources you have overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have a question from Muhammad Ali. The question is, what strategies can casual and hyper casual game developers adopt to maintain attention in the era of fast engaging contents like shorts and reels? And I think this probably can go a little broader as well. The attention spans are becoming shorter now with the advent of newer media forms and formats. Even at least in India now, everything is being hyper fast and hyper local. I was talking to my sister the other day. She's in Holland, and I said, "Why don't you order it?" And she said, "It'll come in 2 days." I said, "We get delivery in 8 minutes." So that's the speed at which, at least, India is moving. And I don't want to implicate this conversation. This is a global panel, but uh, how do we optimize or think about improving long-term retention and engagement when attention spans are becoming shorter?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. I think one thing which the AI brings to the table is that you can do this kind of pipelines potentially where you can utilize a lot more platforms and like I was thinking about this the other day. Like for example, one of the challenges we have as a game studio is that we have a huge audience and we can't engage realistically with a lot of the audience because there's just too many people. So how can we utilize AI to potentially engage with the players more? Let's say we have Discord, we have like 100,000 members there or something. So like potentially that there's one angle at least you could um, potentially talk to more people and get more useful information out of that. So
So I think I can probably share my thoughts on this, and my uh, my take is that maybe retention can be understood and interpreted in more evolving ways as we move forward. The reason why I say that is, if I take a disjoint example, the definition of loyalty and retention and engagement varies by different use cases. For a casual game, it may be the amount of time spent in the sessions. But shopping app, it might be sessions, but not time spent. The lesser time spent actually signifies a higher efficiency of the app because you come, you add to cart, check out, and leave. So as long as you are able to optimize and understand that people are able to come back and not focus entirely on the session duration as a singular indicator of loyalty, I feel that maybe that's one way to think about it. Even if the attention spans are becoming shorter, try and make sure that people do come back, have daily challenges, have activities that require periodic intervention, send out seasonal updates, and make sure that you are aligned with whatever is happening in the market so that there is a reason for the user to revisit. So instead of measuring the absolute session length, look at maybe the number of sessions and the 28-day returning users. Just my thought.
So it's kind of a like quick and easy gameplay as well. Like, and you can share it with your friends with those platforms, with those real. So it's a easy sharing with your friends, and then better to actually have them as well on that platform and on that game. Simultaneously, also you can pitch for some in-game rewards, which you just specified. Daily rewards can actually help to build that things. So these are the few things I would say that will gonna help them out to actually engage with more and more consumers. And definitely a minimal learning curve or a minuscule learning curve because it's a casual and hyper casual. So generally people spend don't want to actually get the complete mindset on that. So it's like a minimal learning curve would be there.
Got it. Anuj.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus one to all what you guys have said, and also we can use these channels, basically YouTube Shorts and all, to also bring back the users back to the game. That's why it's important to build the community and everything and focus on that for also, because that's not a huge cost in terms of actually maintaining these communities, but it brings users back to the game and again and again. So that's also important. So user consuming time there, bring them back by showing content over there also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the Ashutosh's comment about the retention being a wider concept, and I agree with that because what we see is that, for example, we like have been trying out a few episodes of these community manager videos where they, you know, act a little bit and play out, like talk about the features. You've seen this, a lot of game companies do this, but like, okay, you have this YouTube um, like strategy here that you can engage the players, you can feed them back into the game. You have this in-game live strategy where you do all the things you can do in the game, and then you have your community side and different platforms where you can distribute all this content. So I think it's like uh, yeah, meeting the players where they are and trying to help them have fun. And we have a lot of players, for example, who want to organize their own tournaments, want to do things their way, so trying to support things like that as well. So yeah.
Got it. Cool. I think we are almost on time. I'll probably sum this up by listing my three takeaways from today's conversation. And guys, please feel free to share your parting thoughts. My takeaways: number one, know your audience, keep your focus, understand who you are building for. Second is embrace technology and innovation, build for the masses, and keep it simple. And third would be try and balance out when you think about different ecosystems. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't think about Android versus iOS, but think about what are your priorities when you think about iOS and Android. They go hand in hand. So keeping it simple, make it social, focus on re-engagement, utilize all of the army of social media that you have. Those would be my takeaways. Guys, please feel free to do plus one or add anything else that you feel might be relevant.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I would add, like, to me, games are about creativity and innovation and experimentation. So it's kind of like new technologies and new environments are exciting. They shouldn't be an enemy. They should be an opportunity. So that's how I see.
Yeah. So the same thing, like just focus on what whom you wanted to cater to, because that's the main thing. If you are actually, if you have a specific thing like this is the audience you wanted to cater to, then definitely will gonna actually get the success. Doesn't even matter like which platform you are focusing for, but if it's gonna be appeal, that audience will definitely gonna get the success. That's my additional input. What Ashutosh you mentioned.
Nothing more to add from my side. You guys have covered it all. Today.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. So with that, I think we can call it a day. This was great having you gentlemen today, and thank you for the time and all of the great insights. I know 40-45 minutes is not enough to cover a topic as extensive as the state of mobile gaming, but I thought we were able to, I hope that we were able to bring some clarity and give some sense of direction to our attendees. People, please feel free to reach out via LinkedIn if you want to be in touch, if you have any other follow-up questions. And we are around. We are happy to help. With that, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.